Good morning. All right, John chapter 5, and we left off verse 18, which I think we should probably start in verse 18, and we can move forward from there. John 5:18 says, "Therefore, because Jesus healed that lame man at the pool of Bethesda on the Sabbath, it says the Jews sought all the more to kill him because he had not only broken the Sabbath, but also said that God was his Father, making himself equal with God. Then Jesus answered and said to them, Most assuredly I say to you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do. For whatever he does, the Son also does in like manner. For the Father loves the Son, and shows him all things that he himself does, and he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. For as the Father raises the dead and gives life to them, even so the Son gives life to whom he wills. For the Father judges no one, but has committed all judgment to the Son, so that all should honor the Son, just as they honor the Father. He who does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent him." And so, he's already blown their minds, and now he's just blowing it up even more. And so, Jesus did not consider it robbery to consider himself equal with God. Philippians 2. He's making these statements to them, and once again, I think maybe it would be lost on us, but these religious leaders, the Pharisees, they knew exactly what Jesus was trying to say. That Jesus was calling himself equal with God, and therefore God. It says that the Father loves the Son, and the Son loves the Father, and that everything you see from the Father, you're going to see it in the Son. And this is one that I think would definitely rub the Pharisees wrong, is where it says the Father has committed all judgment to the Son in verse 22. 2 Corinthians 5:10. It says, "For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that each one may receive the things done in the body according to what he has done, whether good or bad." Right? It's the judgment seat of Christ. God has given everything to Jesus there. And so, again, I think he's just blowing their minds because he's very forwardly saying what he's saying. And I always like the way he does it, that Jesus often gave almost all the information without outright just saying it. And I think part of that is because it's helpful for us to come to our own conclusions, right? It's helpful for us. Is this what you're saying? And when we do that, I think we register better. It better commits it to our memory, understanding what Jesus is trying to say. So John 5:24, which there might have been a dramatic pause here, a little bit of a pause for them to chew on that first part. Now he says, "Most assuredly I say to you, he who hears my word and believes in him who sent me has everlasting life, and shall not come into judgment, but has passed from death into life. Most assuredly I say to you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live. For the Father has life in himself, so he has granted the Son to have life in himself, and has given him authority to execute judgment also, because he is the Son of Man." I guess I'll finish down to 30. "Do not marvel at this, for the hour is coming in which all who are in the graves will hear his voice, and come forth, those who have done good to the resurrection of life, and those who have done evil to the resurrection of condemnation. I can of myself do nothing. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is righteous, because I do not seek my own will, but the will of the Father who sent me." And so he continues in this early conversation with the Pharisees, early in his ministry, and again, kind of blowing their minds and just making these bold proclamations. At the end of the Sermon on the Mount, he started with just his disciples, but then more people continue to gather together. At the end, they marvel and they say, he teaches with authority, unlike the scribes and the Pharisees. That was the thing about Jesus, was other people quoted other people. Well, Rabbi this says this, and Rabbi that says that. And Jesus says, I'm telling you, and this is what I have to say. And you'll notice it says, because he is the Son of Man. Now, we hear Son of God, and Son of Man often used. But what you might want to commit to memory is going back and looking at like Daniel chapter 7. In Daniel chapter 7, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, boom, Daniel. Let's see here. Starting in like verse 13, Daniel has a vision. And Daniel says, I was watching in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man, coming with the clouds of heaven. He came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. Then to him, the Son of Man, was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom the one which shall not be destroyed. So again, we might not catch the Son of Man phrase, but the Pharisees who studied the Word of God, when Jesus starts saying, Son of Man, all of a sudden it's like, are you calling yourself who we think you're calling yourself? Because you'll notice again in Daniel 13, it says, the Son of Man, one like the Son of Man. So what it's saying is this one, they saw someone, and he was like a man. He was like a human. This person looked different than, in contrast, the next part of the verse, the Ancient of Days. The Ancient of Days being Almighty God the Father on the throne in heaven. Someone looking like a man, though, comes to him. And to this man is given dominion, glory, a kingdom, that every nation, people, tribe, and tongue would all serve him. And so Jesus' phrase, the Son of Man, it means a lot. It doesn't just mean a man or one born among men like us, but that phrase, Son of Man, when he claims it to himself, he's making a bold proclamation. I am the man from Daniel chapter 7, verse 13. I am the one who has been given all power, all glory, all dominion, and deserve all praise. And so this is, again, blowing their minds. And so he continues in verse 31, just explaining it all. He says, if I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. Therefore, there is another who bears witness of me. And I know that the witness which he witnesses of me is true. You have sent to John, and he has borne witness of the truth. Yet I do not receive testimony from man, but I say things that you may be saved. He was the burning and shining lamp, and you were willing for a time to rejoice in his light. So like for a while there, people kind of liked John, but then they started getting rubbed wrong by John. But I have a greater witness than John's, for the works which the Father has given to me, the very works that I do bear witness. So he's going over this fourfold witness that finishes out the chapter. John witnessed to him. The works of Jesus witnesses to him. The Father himself who sent me, he testifies of me. There's the three parts of what witnesses to Christ. The Father himself, you have neither heard his voice at any time nor seen his form, but you do not have his word abiding in you, because whom he sent, him you do not believe. You search the scriptures. There's number 4. For in them you think you have eternal life, and these are the things which testify of me. So Jesus lists off 4 things that testify. He talks about John witnessing. He talks about the Father witnessing. He talks about Jesus' works witnessing. He talks about the scriptures witnessing to who he is. Verse 40 says, but you're not willing to come to me, that you may have life. I do not receive honor from men, but I know you, that you do not have the love of God in you. I have come in my Father's name, you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, him you'll receive. How can you believe who receive honor from one another, and do not seek the honor that comes only from God? Do not think that I shall accuse you to the Father. There is one whom accuses you, Moses, in whom you trust. For if you believed in Moses, you'd believe in me, for he wrote about me. But if you do not believe his writings, how will you believe my words? 2 things, because Jesus is attacking religiosity, I should say. There are many people still today who have a form of godliness but deny the power thereof. They, on the outside, look godly. They might attend church. They could have a role in the church. You know, the title of elder, deacon, whatever. That doesn't really do anything if the heart's not right towards the Lord. You see, he says, if you really believed in me, then you'd believe in God. If you believed in God, you'd believe in me. They would have received him if they had truly been God seekers from the beginning. Now, Pharisees did come to Jesus. Priests came to Jesus. And sinners came to Jesus. People who were honestly looking for God, they found him. God makes it very clear. If you're sincerely searching for him, you will find him. He never holds himself back. He never withholds himself from anyone who wants God. This morning, not knowing, like again, I've told you guys before, I'm not studying these texts. I'm literally just trying to show up every morning and speak whatever God puts on my heart rather than studying a bunch. But related to this text, which I wasn't even thinking about this morning, I made the comment on Facebook that people can fall in love with the church without ever falling in love with Jesus. And let me take out the there. People can fall in love with church and not ever be in love with Jesus. Yet if you truly love Jesus, you'll have a heart and love for his church. What I'm saying is that going to a church service, it can provide a sense of community. It can provide a sense that you're instilling good morals on your children. It can make you feel good. There's so many things about church that people can love, but you can love church without ever truly loving God. See, that's the thing where the Pharisees were at. They loved their group. They loved the prominence that they had in society because of their allegiance to the Pharisaical order. But they didn't really love God. And one way you can tell, it says John, backing up in verse 35, it said, he was the burning and shining lamp, and you were willing for a time to rejoice in his light. Here's maybe my closing thought, looking at the time here. Oh yeah, closing thoughts times. You see, John the Baptist was a very in-your-face, forward kind of guy. I don't know if I'm quite John status, as far as like in your face. But the fact is this. What I've learned is that if you really want to make believers grow, then you're going to have to push them. If you want to make believers grow, they're going to experience growing pains. And while on the outside, sometimes that looks exciting. You see a church where people are getting going and things are moving and things are going well. But sometimes people will come for a season, but they don't like being pushed. Maybe whatever the hot topic was, it was avoided for a while as they went through the Word of God. But then all of a sudden, a sore spot gets picked on. Something gets unearthed and we hit something that's a sensitive spot. The question is if people love God, we're going to fight through that together. We're going to learn to grow through it. And I have worked with many of you guys, like through uncomfortable things we believed in. And when our beliefs were challenged, do we drop it and run away? Or do we sincerely ask God, all right, God, I've always been taught this in church, but maybe that's not true. Or I've been hanging on to this sin, and I was convinced for so long that I was okay hanging on to that. But now it seems like I can't hang on to that anymore. And so we got a choice. You can let go of the sin, or you can let go of the solid teaching. They were willing to bear with John the Baptist for a while. But once John started heavy hitting, a lot of them backed away because they didn't like it. They didn't like that someone was challenging what they believed and what they thought. But those who stuck it out, those are the ones who actually left John the Baptist and became the disciples of Jesus. Many of John's disciples later followed Christ. And so it's just a reminder, when you hit a hard, rough spot in your faith and in your walk, stick it out. Because when you get to the other side of it, man, God is going to grow you, he's going to bless you, and he's going to do great things. So, all that said, God bless you guys. Take care. I'm going to log off from the church page, and I'm actually going to go on my own, and I'm going to probably sing a worship song or something, because I was having some personal worship time this morning, and it was fun. So, I'll see you guys around.